Now, Mr. Zahawi, of course, served as Education Secretary, Vaccines Minister, Chancellor, Conservative Party Chairman. A lot of people have been asking him for his view on the Labour, and I'm pleased to say that he's kept his powder dry to appear on this show. So the great Zahawi joins me now. Mr. Zahawi, good morning. We'll back up a little onto Angela Rayner in a moment. Where does the Labour Party find itself this morning, do you think? Good morning.
I don't think they're serious enough for the challenges that the country faces. I think Keir Starmer, in my view, is not taking the illegal crossings seriously enough. I would, if I were advising him, would be looking at emergency legislation. The numbers are going to continue this month, next month, even through the winter months. They might drop a little bit. This idea that they're going to close the hotels, they'll just move them to HMOs, houses in multiple occupancy, which will keep the bill at billions of pounds. People will feel the unfairness. The British DNA is we write letters and we sign petitions. We don't burn tyres down the Champs-Elysees. But when we feel that our values are being attacked, that our children aren't safe in our streets because of this illegal migration, partly because of this illegal migration, to be fair, right, we will rise. My fear is our cities are changing so rapidly that the donut around Birmingham, London, Manchester of law-abiding, tax-paying families see their country being taken for a ride, and therefore will rise. And my fear is a trigger of public unrest will cause this government massive, massive turmoil, coupled with the bond markets are breaking in the United Kingdom. The 30-year bond is at 5.7%. The Conservative Party got rid of Liz Truss when the 30-year bond got to 5%. It's unsustainable. As Kemi Badenoch said over the weekend, we're going to be paying 100 billion in debt interest service a year.
But you're speaking, Mr. Zahawi, almost as if your party hadn't been... It's not that long ago that you, in senior positions, and your colleagues were presiding over some of this, Nadhim Zahawi.
And you're right. And one has to own some of one's mistakes. And I think on immigration, Robert Jenrick was making the argument in Cabinet. In fact, he resigned over some of the issues that he felt weren't going in the right direction under Rishi Sunak. We have to own our own mistakes. We said we'll stop the boats. We didn't stop the boats. We should have come out of the European Convention on Human Rights. Lawyers use that. They use the UN. They use all sorts of levers to basically attack our way of life, to attack our values. That's how the average Brit sees it. And I think it is time to tackle this and tackle this urgently. We did it during, you mentioned the vaccine. We've passed emergency legislation so I could actually vaccinate the nation, so I could protect the country. Yep. We should be in that same mode today. I think Labour are behaving as if, it's business as usual. All this will just, it's a storm that will go away. It won't go away. And in my view, if they carry on like this, it's rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Many people have said it. I've stolen the line to this morning as well.
Someone who has gone away is the former Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner. Mr. Zahawi, was that always going to happen? Was it a rather drawn-out and ugly affair?
It was because she would have realised that she hadn't taken proper tax advice before making the decision to pay the wrong amount of stamp duty tax on her new property. And she was one of the attack dogs that led the attacks against myself, and I own my own mistake, of course. And of course, I absolutely, like any other politician, know that we should be held to the highest standard in public life.
But having led those attacks for you and your tax issues, how hypocritical did it seem to you as you were listening over almost the past 11 days, as someone who was a siren voice against you and against others, seeming to find just about every reason? It was the financial advisor, it was the conveyancing firm, it was anybody else.
Well, I've got to tell you a story. At the moment the story broke, you can imagine, as your producers do so brilliantly, my phone, basically was full of text messages inviting me to every media outlet, from the BBC to LBC to ITV, everywhere. And I refrained. I thought, what, don't get involved. I hate dancing on people's graves or going out and doing what she did to me, funnily enough, until I watched that interview with Beth Rigby. I think Beth would be the first to admit it was slightly soft interview, and we had the sort of, bringing the children into it and the tears. I had what was a 10-year-old at the time with 30 cameramen outside my home for 2-3 weeks, right? She didn't think about my children when she went on every show saying that I'm dodgy and I should go and I should be sacked immediately, and Rishi's weak for not sacking me, and she was leading the charge against me. She didn't think of my children, and I couldn't help myself. When I watched that, I had to tweet back at her and say, how about my children, Angela? I hate to see, and it breaks my heart to see your children being brought into this, but the hypocrisy was so painful, I felt I had to react.
So what do politicians need to learn about events such as your issues and Angela Rayner's issues, Mr. Zahawi?
So I tried to cover this in my memoirs, The Boy from Baghdad.
I remember.
There are no superhumans in politics. If your listeners expect our politicians never to make a mistake, then they are basically excluding the most talented people in this country. Talented people are flesh and blood. They're human. They'll make mistakes. As long as they own their mistakes, as long as they come and explain what happens, I think we need to be much more careful about how we do our politics. This nastiness, this sort of Tory scum was, I think, Angela Rayner's most famous quote against us, is terrible for our democracy. I care deeply about this country. It has defined my life. It's made me who I am. It's a great nation. To take a boy from Baghdad at the age of 11, not speaking a word of English, and put him in 11 Downing Street. Let's not make our politics so poisonous that talented listeners like yours will say, I don't want to go into politics. I've got children. I've got a family. Do you know what? I can earn more money in the private sector than I can as a member of parliament. I want those people to come forward and stand in our country's elections and to be part of the future of this country. That won't happen if politics is so poisonous.